Well, there's progress and questions of a moral nature. We're back. That's right, welcome back to the £100 layout. Sorry for going missing for a few weeks. Obviously it's been the summer, so some of the hot temperatures have kind of kept me away. It's certainly cooled down over the last week or so. But also there's been a lot going on behind the scenes, some of which we'll talk about in this video. Some of it is more rail stuff related in terms of the business and progress that's being made there, but it's just kept me incredibly busy over the last few weeks. But this has been sitting there and bugging me, knowing that I need to make some progress. So over the past week I have done. So I've filled in the areas with the filler to create a solid and level bed for the track. This section from here to here is actually now glued in place with the sort of fake no more nails stuff. That's done a very good job, although I expected it to dry clear, being an idiot, so I'm now going to need to cover up those bits, but that's fine. This section still needs gluing round here, but the reason that I haven't done that yet is because I need to install the power cables down here and drill through and feed those through. Now in terms of progress, you can now see that the whole thing is painted. There was a gap over here, there I can only tell by the change in sound. That has now been filled in with a piece of cardboard and then bit of filler to hide the cracks and to cover it up, and it's then been painted in, and that is absolutely rock solid. Happy days. I then took a couple of free bits of kind of packaging material like this and shaped it and filled in this dip and created an area where there may be some water goes in here. There was a comment, and forgive me, I can't remember your name, but there was a comment recently about needing water for the pottery, so there'll be some water there, as well as the canal down here, of course, but we'll come back to that in a little bit. The quarry area over here is exactly as you saw it last time, just with a little bit of extra paint on the inside, but that's going to take quite a lot of work when we get to it to make it look like what it is. So we're now at the stage where we've got the top level painted, we've got some of the track actually fixed in place, and progress has been made. Next job is to, drop the power through here and get everything fully connected and running before we can start to then move on to the next stage, which will be creating this area in here. Now, just in case you don't remember the plan for this part of the layout, this is the one that I think a few people haven't quite been able to visualize in their head, and maybe that's because it's just my crazy ramblings that don't make any sense. But if you imagine this section here and this section here, which you can't really see, this will be over a bridge with a canal coming through down here. So the canal will be at a lower level, say down here, and will flow through under this bridge and then under this bridge here. Next to it there will be a roadway, a bit more than a track but a bit less than a proper roadway, that will come down here and will then come round this corner and will then slope down to be at the same level as the canal, and then that will flow under this bridge here as well. So basically the way that people access the pottery area in here is up this road, up this ramp, turn left and around here. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. This whole thing is going to have to be cut out of cardboard, so it'll be measured up and drawn out on pieces of cardboard, and essentially we'll create a box structure that drops down into that gap, you know, with holes at the end for things to flow out. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. So that is one of the next tasks, is to do that. And I started a little while ago, you know, measuring things out, scaling them correctly, drawing them out. But I wasn't 100% convinced. And it may be that I need to switch away from this thickness of cardboard into something a little bit thinner and easier to cut and easier to be a bit more accurate with. I don't know. That's something I'm going to play around with. But obviously I don't have budget to play around with. And that is the challenge that I've got now. For anyone who missed the last episode, I now have £6.60, I think it was, to spend on scenics and everything like that, which is going to give me some challenges, particularly when it comes to buildings, potentially the cutaway section for down here, and any kind of details that I want to add. And that's where I want to pose a moral question this morning, and I genuinely want your guidance on this. I think I know what the answer is, but I'd love to know your thoughts. So if you can excuse the mess that's over here, then let me introduce you to RailStuff's newest tool. Now, the reason why this poses some moral questions is right at the beginning of this whole process. I said that the use of tools that I had are not included in the cost, and I think that's right. But I think I was thinking more like paintbrushes, screwdrivers, knives, things like that. But this is now a tool that RailStuff has at its disposal. If you haven't quite worked it out, then this is a 3D printer. It's a filament 3D printer, to be precise, and it's an Elegoo Centauri or Centuri Carbon. Carbon. It's their carbon edition of this machine. It's brand new. For those of you who follow RailStuff on socials, you may have seen that recently we were fortunate enough to receive a growth grant from Staffordshire County Council and Staffordshire Moorlands District Council. And one of the things that we have invested in with that grant is this bad boy, as well as just a ridiculous amount of filament. That was, you know, we were able to do that as part of the package as well. And the main reason we've done this is that there's a few products that actually we want to start manufacturing and selling. So, you know, I'm talking basics like we've got some pallets in there. You probably can't see them very well, but pallets, post boxes, bollards, wheelie bins, traffic cones as well. So there we go, some 00 traffic cones in there. And look, we're not here to try and take on the big boys. You know, if you want your 3D printed gear, you know, with lots of detail and to do very specific jobs, then go to West Hill Wagon Works, or for people, go to Model U, or, you know, there are plenty of folk out there doing a great job. And we're not trying to take that on. It's just a case of, look, we'd like to stock a few basics, a few modelling essentials, and, you know, maybe we can actually print them ourselves using this thing. It's a great tool, but the question is, can I use it on the £100 layout? Now, this is a filament printer. It's not a resin printer, so it's not ideal for doing very small details, especially in N-gauge. But things like buildings, things like the panels to create the recess with the canal area and the ramp and everything like that would be very, very good to be able to design that on the PC and then print it out using this thing here. But can I? I haven't actually paid for this, and I haven't paid for the filament either. It came from a grant. But my moral compass tells me that this is cheating. This would be cheating because not everyone has access to one of these. And it's a £300 machine. You know, there's 150 quid's worth of filament sat here as well. So, you know, this is not a... you know, it doesn't fit into the £100 budget in that sense. But if you've already got one, is it a method for creating things for a layout that mean that you don't have to go out spending? Yeah, one option might be that I account for the cost of the filament used in producing the items. But the reality is that the cost of the filament used is pence. You know, when you pay somebody for a 3D printed product, what you are paying for is their design skills and you know, the work that's gone into actually designing, producing, packaging, you know, turning it into a reality. You're not paying for the material cost because the material cost is fairly insignificant. So I'm not even sure that ticks my moral compass either. But I do want your opinion. So if you think that it's okay for me to use the 3D printer to create certain things for the £100 layout, or if you are strongly against that as well, then let me know in the comments. You know, I'm not looking for criticism here or anything like that. I'm genuinely looking for your opinion, and I will be guided by it. If the majority of you say, yeah, go for it, it'll be quite interesting, I'll do it. If the majority of you say, no, that's cheating, I will steer clear. Now, whilst we're over this side of the workshop, there is another tool as well that could be quite useful. And this is one that I've had for a number of years, but don't really make the best of it. And that is the Cricut Maker. If you don't know what a Cricut Maker is, then essentially it's a cutting machine. So for the most part, you put vinyls in, and that's what these rolls are over here. They are sticky vinyls or iron-on vinyls that you put in there, and it cuts them to shape for you incredibly accurately after you make the design on the PC. But also it can cut card and things like that. So it could be that is a useful tool for me to, if I can't go down the 3D printed route, is to go card sheets for the drop-in section for the canal and the ramp and everything like that. If I'm going to make it out of card anyway, then maybe I can do it a bit more accurately with the Cricut Maker. But again, that could be cheating as well. So I really want your guidance here. This is not me looking for shortcuts. It's just that I've now got this piece of kit and I'm thinking, can I use it? Now, back on the side of the £100 layout, I've made some additions over this side as well. So I've got a new shelf. It doesn't seem like much to most people, but for me and my DIY skills, I've got a new shelf. And this is my modelling general shelf. So I've got, some cleaners and some glues and all sorts on there. This is where I keep my pot of filler, although this is pretty much done. And actually I mentioned to you earlier about the area that I filled in with a cardboard sheet. The thing I forgot to mention is that I then used this filler, if I can get it to the camera, there we go. I used this filler, there was only a little bit left, so I added some water and mixed it down into a paste that I was then able to almost use as plaster over the top of that cardboard sheet, and that actually worked really quite well. This is where I keep my static grasses and bits and pieces like that, and my MIG ammo lock and load mechanical pencil available from RAILstuff.com. This, by the way, is fabulous for weathering and the such like. So you've got a push-up pencil with a built-in sharpener and all these different leads, if you will, that you put in, and you can use this for drawing on. You can then add some water to a paintbrush and blend it in. It's really nice stuff. Check it out on the RailStuff site if you're interested. RailStuff.com, and you're looking for lock and load from MIG ammo. That's well worth a try. I've even got my paint mixing cups there ready to go, a bit of Humbrol model filler as well. You can't be without that in your toolbox. But that's not where it ends, because over on this side is my other modelling bench, and this is where I do some of my other bits and pieces. You can see that I've got my MIG ammo paint racks in there. They're a little bit empty at the moment, but I've got a load of new paints coming as part of the new range that's coming into RailStuff as well. So that's there. I've got my shelf of McLarens and a Braun GP model car as well. I'm a huge Formula 1 fan. Lando Norris is the guy that I follow, so yeah, I've got a nice little collection of McLaren models up there from the last couple of years. This is also where I'm working on this JS Models kit, which is beautiful and has come together really well. You can buy that at rail-stuff.com as well. I promise this isn't just a big advert, but it just happens to be there. But then one thing I will advertise is that I'm doing some work with the Airbrush company, who are one of RailStuff's suppliers, and I'm going to be doing some videos for them on airbrushing ModelRailway stuff. So we've actually got some new equipment in the shed. This is a brand new Sparmax TC620X Quantum compressor, which is an absolute beast, and replacing the very basic one that I had before then. So it's an absolute beast, that one, and also a nice Iwata airbrush as well. This one, for reference, is the, I'll just put those down there, I think. This one is the Iwata Eclipse HPCS. So that one is brand new to me as well, so I'm going to be doing some getting used to those over the next few days. But this is where I do my airbrushing and general work over here. So this is where I plan to, if the section that drops down into the £100 layout with the canal and the ramp, I'm hoping that I can get that so it's a section that I can drop in once it's a little bit more ready, because the idea is if I can have it in a number of panels, then I can bring it over here and I can paint it and I can detail it and I can get it ready before I actually drop it into the section on the layout. That would be the idea anyway. Because it certainly make it a lot easier if I can sit here and actually work on it with my paints and airbrusher and all that kind of gear as well. So we'll see, but that's the plan. So back over to the layout, really, to close this video out with a jobs list in terms of what I do next. First step is there is a bit of a gap under this piece of track which is already glued down, so I need to get something in there just to fill that gap, but that's fine. Everything else is pretty flat and level and solid. There's no flex to it at all, which is really good, so I'm pleased with that. So the next step is to then drop the power down through here, and also I'll put the switch for the points in as well. Like we've said in previous videos, not sure if I'm actually going to use that yet, but might as well drop it through at this stage. Then I need to actually cut back some of the stuff that I've put in here for the drop down area here. In fact, this section has ended up just a bit weird, so I need to just play around with that to make it look a little bit more blended in, although some of that will come with the scenics anyway. But I need to at least cut the corner off there because I've caught where the siding runs up. Get that glued in place, and then the rest of the curve glued in place, and then we've got the track in place, ready to go. Then the next thing is I've got to resolder that power clip to get that back in, and then the next job is very much to move on to this section here. So in the next video, following your guidance on my moral question, we should be able to move on to this section here. It'll either be in a far more manual, cut out the cardboard kind of route, or it'll be designing and making with the 3D printer or the Cricut, based entirely on your feedback. So let's wait and see what you say, but next time we're going to start tackling that area. Thanks for your patience with the lack of updates for a little bit. Really appreciate it. Glad to be back, and plenty more coming. In the meantime, make sure you check out my new podcast with Richard Watson from New Junction. That is called Junctions and Stuff, and it's available in the same place that you would find Rail People, which is my other podcast, which will be coming back very, very soon as well. And yeah, just keep modelling. Let me know what you're up to, and thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day. I'll speak to you soon.